Thank you, Vulcan Says, for the tag. We've got Bounding into Comics here saying, One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda defends series fan service, with a quote from him. Having females show their sexuality out of their own volition is a much needed revolution for the representation of heroines in manga, he says. A revolution. Is that a One Piece reference? Maybe it's a JoJo reference. Anyways, let's read. Whether due to his refusal to change a character's gender in order to conform to Western identity politics or his tendency to hang on some story beats a bit too long, One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda has a habit of regularly finding himself in the crosshairs of social media's more outraged, addicted users, they write. One particular sticking point among Oda's critics is his treatment of the series' female characters, particularly in how he illustrates them. Thanks to his creative desire to draw many of his female characters, such as Nami, Robin, and Boa Hancock, as attractive and slightly sexualized. Slightly. So, well, to be fair, sometimes slightly, sometimes not so slightly, in my opinion, but continuing. Many have disingenuously accused the mangaka of viewing the fairer sex as nothing more than objects for men to oogle at. Yet despite the belief by many that Oda chooses to depict the woman of One Piece in this way in order to belittle their entire gender, the mangaka himself recently revealed that this could not be further from the truth. As translated by the founder of the popular One Piece fan site Library of Ohara on March 16th, Oda spoke to the matter for the Q&A section of the series' recently released 105th volume. We can see that right here. Hopping over to the tweet itself for this one, let's check it out. The one and only Arctur, he says, Oda talks about fan service in One Piece and the importance of empowering females to show their sexuality consensually. First of all, I can tell you that word alone is going to upset some people on Twitter. Let's continue though. Reader asking,
this is a serious question. One Piece often features shots where women show their chests, but it hardly has any underskirt panty shots. Is there some reason or policy you have for why that is the case?
Oda, nah, it's just something I'm not interested in myself. LOL. Excuse me. Ever since I was a child, there's been many manga that feature fan service scenes, but most of the time it's done against the consent or will of the female characters. So I feel that having females show their sexuality out of their own volition, such as like with Happiness Punch, is a much needed revolution for the representation of heroines in manga. That's also pretty much where the Bounding into Comics article ends. So why don't we check out some of the responses to this tweet? One comment saying that's a ridiculous thing to say and saying to not sexualize them at all, like how the male characters are apparently not sexualized, and saying that they don't forget what happened in Wano and Pink Hazard. Pink Hazard, okay. And then we get a response here saying that this person agrees with that take. However, if you look at Silver's Rayleigh, then tell him that Oda doesn't also sexualize men in the series. Yeah, buff, shirtless dude. The other person disagrees, saying that there's a big difference between how the women are sexualized and how the men are sexualized, basically implying that the men are not sexualized, I suppose. The other person saying that their counterpoint is that that difference is simply how people sexualize men and women differently. So it still is sexualization, in other words, it's just different. Someone gets mad at him for bringing that point to the table, though. This Joy Boy person says that the other guy didn't actually bring the other side of the argument. I think he did. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Saying that essentially Oda doesn't sexualize men, and the only time he did was with Odin, with this example right here. And that person actually gets a response from someone that they have a weak memory. Someone else responding to the picture of Rayleigh without a shirt, saying that it's a power fantasy, not a sexualized character. A response saying not a sexualized character, it's a muscular middle-aged man stepping out of the water. What power fantasy are you talking about? The other person then saying the one making men think that's desirable, and linking to an article titled, Do Women Actually Prefer Muscular Men? We asked 1,000 women to find out. Other person responding saying that they're not going to read it, but that, yeah, a lot of women don't like muscular men, so what? A lot of men don't like super thin women, they also say, that everyone has preferences, in other words. And just because you can point to one study that says not all women like muscular men, doesn't mean it's not sexual arousing for other women. Other person tries to refute that point, saying that it is still there to please men, it's shonen, it's dedicated to boys. You won't see a male character being treated as Nami in Thriller Bark or dressed as Rebecca in Dressrosa, because that wouldn't be pleasing to men. But Rayleigh, wow, he's so powerful, men like that. The final response essentially refuting that point, saying that yes, shonen caters to males, but the power fantasy you're talking about is Rayleigh swimming between islands and killing sea kings, not him standing there wet head to toe, That's not powerful to us, take it from me. That response never getting another response from Barbara. In my opinion, Barbara doesn't make great points. Let me know what you think in the comments. Issues I have are, like Adrian pointed out, some women do like buff dudes, some don't, so that study doesn't really mean much. I also don't see why a power fantasy can't also include sexualized characters and vice versa. And finally, Barbara's also forgetting that bisexual people and gay people exist. So that's another thing. Hopping back over to Arthur's tweet, let's take a look at some more of the responses. In particular, this top response with Story Smith saying, doesn't that statement contradict that one bath scene in Wano with Sanji and the raid suit? And Arthur saying, yeah, I agree personally. One of the reasons why I don't really like that scene since it goes against the mantra Oda presents, not to mention what Sanji did without any type of consent. In a different comment exchange responding to Arthur's tweet, we have Linny saying, then isn't Oda a hypocrite? He does sexualize his female characters. A response from John saying, and that's fine. Women are allowed to be sexy. I just hate Capcom has desexualized the Resident Evil remakes. For example, like they just want to take away anything fanservice-y. Oh yeah, hey, quick side note about that, by the way, and Kotaku. What do you guys make of these images? The journalist who wrote that article tweeted it out and actually got a response from someone named Eric who pointed out the hypocritical tweets that we just took a look at. That response was ignored by the journalist. However, this response from Cole Ballard, who took umbrage with her profile picture for the reasons listed there, actually did get a response from the journalist, where she decides to say that he's delusional because he has a fish in his profile pic. You know, I've seen people take shots at anime profile pictures before. First time I've seen someone take a shot at fish profile pictures before, so that was interesting. And she wraps it up by insulting his appearance and also making an ableist remark about his ability or inability to read. So yeah, anyways, that was a thing. Back to One Piece. Once again, we're at Arthur's tweet, and this time we're actually going to switch it up by going to the quote retweets. Here we are. First quote retweet that pops up says, from Star, having to release a written statement defending how you express your sexuality in your art to appeal to people who might get upset about it. LOL, sad. Next response from Funny. Liberal feminists still exist in Japan, and he probably said this to appeal to them and not Anglos, but lol at the quote tweets. Wuda says, one of the main characters of your manga is a guy whose entire deal is creeping on women without their consent and also hating trans women. Practice what you preach, dude. Layla saying, men deliberately make repeated unwanted sexual advances in an attempt to look at Nami's body without her consent, but it's okay because she wants it and it's empowering. I'm going to need a moment to grieve this one. Zoo saying, he's such a hypocrite. Also nothing revolutionary. Just a different way to sexualize female characters. To switch it up, now we're at the quote tweets of the Bounding into Comics article that we started with. We get a response from Claren saying, Oda said himself in the SBS section of his manga that he makes sexy women because it's a boy manga, but West will pressure him. Let's hope he don't cater to the mob. Look at this one. Gosh, he makes it sound so soy. Because of this kind of thing, some mangas are very based with Netflix. I don't want to have good expectations, but this could be a good sign. Oh no, I would not expect anything good out of any Netflix anime adaptation, in my opinion. Based Oda says Jade, but yeah, I love how despite these complaints, he's portrayed plenty of female characters outside of what is considered conventional attractiveness that aren't treated as a joke or a punchline. And one more, and then we'll wrap this up. Don't like this argument says Shengori. There is no agency outside of what is written into them. The argument shouldn't go further than, it's his creation. He can do whatever with it. Don't like it, buy a copy, and tells him to draw burkas on any woman that's too revealed, in their opinion. All right. Anyways, yeah, so reception is a bit split. Some people calling Oda a hypocrite. Some people saying he's based. Some people in the middle. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. In my opinion, I think, like, I don't really know too much about Oda. I don't really have a comment on that. I'm not familiar enough with One Piece to know the scenes where, like, I could have an argument on one side of this or the other. I am familiar with One Piece in the sense that, like, I've read character lore videos and I've watched, like, fight videos on YouTube, and I've actually, like, seen I don't know if the anime is caught up yet, but I did see the full, like, manga fight between Luffy in Joy Boy form versus Kaido. That was freaking sick. Some dude did a whole, like, manga video on it with like sound effects and everything. It was amazing. So that was cool. But, like, I don't read or watch One Piece, so I kind of know about it, but, like, I don't know about it. So yeah, I can't really comment on that. But regarding male characters being sexualized, I think they are, and oftentimes there's a double standard that people ignore, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you there and in the next segment.